Everyone, welcome back to the shop. We're right at 11 o'clock. And back in Ohio, back at the shop, back working on the race car. And I've got Brian and Dakota here who are also going to be driving with me at Road Atlanta. Still working on that fourth driver. So we will let you guys know as soon as possible, but still working on that. We've been going through the hubs tonight, and the new hubs that we got have been, for some reason, different than the hubs we had the last couple of years. I don't know if it's a manufacturing change or whatever, but for some reason, they are locking up once we torque them down. Once we insert the axles and torque the axle nut down, the CV joints lock up inside the hub. And we couldn't really figure out what it was. We looked at measurements. We're trying to do paint marks and figure out depth. And what we figured out is, and I'll show you guys, let me grab some gloves. I'm ill prepared. That shouldn't be anything new. You guys have all seen that before. So when Brian's done doing weight settings up at the front of the car, I'll show you. We'll raise the car up and I'll show you the axle stuff. Yeah, we'll keep trying. We'll keep trying. One of these days I'll get it right. So here is one of the CV joints. And what happened to my pointer, Brian? Did you still have it here? Cool. So I'll show you guys in a little bit of detail. So these are our splines. There's our threads, and that's where the axle nut goes on. These are our splines. This is our hub surface right here. And these are our dust shields, these little brass and tin, and they get dented when you pull the axle out and stuff, and you have to straighten them out. They're not very thick. They're very thin. So anyway, the surfaces we're working with are this surface and this surface. And we have found out that this surface needs a little more height in order to get this surface the clearance that it needs. So this is the part that sits on the inner hub bearing, and this sits on the outer race. So we need this to be a little bit taller. So we need to add a shim to this. That's our theory. We've been testing this out tonight, trying it out in different uprights. This is a CV joint. You guys have seen this before with this is a brand new one. And the axle goes in here, and then it can rotate like this as it spins around. CV stands for constant velocity. So you can always be turning that and adjusting it, and it'll work. And we have our uprights here. These are uprights or struts or whatever you want to call it. And this is it. Technically, this is upside down. It goes that way. But it's a little bit better for you guys to see. You can see our bearing inside here, and you can see our dust shields, and it's all covered in grease. And this is the surfaces. These are the surfaces we're working with. This surface here, and then this surface here, to make sure that the hub is actually spinning free with the CV on there. And the problem we've been having is if we put the hub into place, then it was locked up and it wouldn't spin. This thing's really kind of heavy like this. So tighten down and it wouldn't turn. So we were like, damn it, what the hell's wrong? And we've figured out that we need the distance there on that hub bearing surface. So we're going to add, we're going to start with a 1 millimeter shim. And then, hey, Liz, we're going to do a 1 millimeter shim and a 2 millimeter shim. And that gives us a total of 3 millimeters if we stack them. So that's what we're going to do with those. The fun part is, well, here's basically what the shim's going to look like. It'll obviously be a larger diameter outside and a little bit larger diameter inside, but it'll look a lot like this. This is just a really big washer. So that shim is going to give us the distance we need to make sure that that dust shield clears, that dust shield face clears, because we believe that is what's locking up our hubs. Did I explain that correctly? Does that sound?
Yeah, I think that sounds correct.
Our hub still wants to spin freely, but it's locked up on the dust shield surface. And the dust shield surface, we just need a little bit of room for air to get in there to cool the grease and for moisture to get out and dirt to fall out. That's what we need that for. So, and the other thing that's fun with MR2s is we have two different CV joints that we're working with. So we have that one that you guys just saw. And then this is one of the new ones, newer ones. So these are our two different, and when you look at them real quick, they look basically the same. Sorry. I'll do them like this, and you can kind of see the difference. This one obviously has a cotter pin that goes through that hole once you put the nut on. Cotter pin holds it tight. This one is a hammer. You notch it once you get the nut on. You notch the outside edge, and that's why this flange is a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, or not threaded as far as the other one, because you need that for notching. The distances, and you can see there's our 3 millimeter, and there's 2.5 that you're talking about right there. So you can kind of see the difference here. And our difference is this height on this surface. And if you look here, Brian, you can see there's a witness mark on the hub where it's been hitting on the inner race or the inner surface. See that line?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that might have been carving itself the distance away or forcing itself out. Maybe.
Is that actually a line, or is that just grease?
It doesn't wipe off. So that's something that's been carving on there. That could be from, maybe it got tightened down too much, whatever.
I think that's just where it touches that's the edge of the surface.
Okay, so that's not anything.
I don't think that's anything.
A piece of dirt got caught in there and ground around. Okay, so we're still trying to figure out where all this stuff is coming from.
That's where this surface like ends. Like there is.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Inboard of that part that you've been touched. So
I got it.
It has that line where the edge of that surface.
So it's touching on the outside of the bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the outside. So it's the outside race of the bearing. The bearings are pressed into those uprights. You heat them up. You heat up the uprights and you cool the bearings. Put them together and they stay there forever. Or you can just use a 20-ton press and a lot of lube and they'll go in. So I'll raise the car. Can I raise the car now?
Yeah.
I'll show you guys where all this. All right, I'll show you guys where all this stuff goes. So this is what we're talking about on the rears. And you can see the axle nut here. And this one actually does okay. And this is the differences between, I mean, this is simple, tiny manufacturing differences. If I tighten this one up, he will get really difficult to turn. If I go over to the other side and barely do him finger tight, I can't even turn the wheel, like at all. This one you can tighten up a little bit. Is he? He's tight, but I don't think he's 140. Is he 140?
I don't remember anymore. This one did still turn when you tightened it up.
Okay. The other one is completely locked up. So we'll we're going to try the shims on both of these to make sure that we can get 140 foot-pounds of torque. I think it was 140. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. And then, yeah, if you want to, you can check. So I have 140 foot-pounds of torque on each of those axle nuts, but we want it to be able, it doesn't necessarily have to spin freely because we do have the transmission involved and that's going to kind of stop it. But I should be able to push the wheel and it should flow a little bit. It shouldn't be completely bound up. And you can also feel it. You can feel if you have something holding you back. On the other side, it is locked up. Even if you just do that nut finger, hand tight with the socket, it's like you have the parking brake on. It's that tight. So that's why we need to figure out the distance and get that shim on this surface here. That will offset this, which will pull that surface back from where he's grabbing right now on the dust shield face. And that's what's causing us to lock up. It's like a big disc brake just grabbing that all the way around this edge. It's grabbing that. So we need to offset it a little. What are the torque specs for this car?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were just laughing at them.
No, I'm saying is if you
No, they're in the big green book.
look,
No, that's a thing for, you can search that and a PDF will pop up. Big Green Book is the service manual for these cars. It's called the Big Green Book. That's just the nickname for it. So when I showed you guys the uprights left, this is what's in the car. This is the upright or the spindle, whatever you want to call it, your hub bearings on the inside. And they're not going to be blue for very long. These are our backups. So this sits like this. This goes to the coilover. This goes to our trailing arm. This goes to our forward trailing arm. And this goes to our lower control arm of the ball joint. And our brake caliper mounts right here. So that's how that looks inside of there. I know it's kind of difficult to tell, sorry. But that's how it looks inside. And we have a spare set of these because these are just cast iron. They're not light, but they work really well. We have not had any problems with our uprights so far. And you saw the alignment adjustment. That cam, yeah, that's all you get from that bolt. It's not very good rear alignment. So those guys, that blue paint is obviously from the previous car it was on. That blue paint's going to go away. We'll get it primered, or actually we'll probably just get it powder coated, nice gray or silver. We could do yellow.
say why not yellow?
Yeah, if we're going to color it, might as well do yellow because yellow is our accent color. We don't have any other yellow suspension on the car. We could do the tow hooks yellow too because on this impact bar they need painted.
Yes, and those down and paint them.
Yeah. The other thing, and you guys can still probably see it, we still have the dent here. We still have a bunch of body work to do, but it's pulled back and it's pulled back far enough where the impact bar mounts on straight. So this just got painted white, temporary, until we get the rest of the body work done. We're okay like this. It's protected. It's not going to rust out, etc. It's just a cheap, it's an $8 fix. It works pretty well. We do have new taillights coming, so we'll have new taillights along the back. We'll have to do the airbox before that. But I think we still have the mount. Is it just this distance that we don't have? This front edge?
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to that crease back in it. So this will have to come back, but we'll also need that for the lights. So it works out. So we'll have to do this edge, the hole where the lights go. This stuff will get replaced. I guess we can keep these two sections as spares just because they do work. Yeah, Brian, let me know if you hear back from that guy too.
Yeah, I was just checking.
This is so nice to have tools. I can't tell you guys, man. Being without tools down there,
Man,
it's rough. It is rough. Please don't use a 3/8 drive with the 10mm socket. I'm doing this to compensate. Another pro tip for shops are these guys, the little tiny snack bags. They're perfect for parts. They make actually even smaller ones than these, but these are cheap, easy, come in different colors, so you can do it per project. You know, MR6 gets green bags, the other ones get red. So we'll do this, and then this will get taped to the plate. And that way we don't lose the screws to the license plate. And this goes in the trunk. And then figure out how to get the rest of the stuff off. And Brian, did I tell you that I keyed the bags to the NC700? The kit that I got from the Honda, dealer is not the correct kit. They sent me the wrong one. So I figured out, I took everything apart and figured out how to do key matching with those keys and got it. There's, I think, there's a total of 7 different tabs that go in, and I got 6 of the 7. So there's only one that I couldn't use. And it's kind of like a puzzle. You like figure out which tabs work and which don't. And I did it for the 2 saddlebags. The center one, I don't know if I can do. I don't know if I can do that one. But everything else, it's just nice to have that. And during the hurricane, it was great to have that. So I was using that for grocery shopping and everything else. So yeah, this is going to come off. Yeah, we still have some body work to do on this. Just to get once the taillights sit in there, then we can put the intake tube that goes all the way across the bar or all across the back. We can put that back in. So that's the plan. Added locksmithing to skills. Yeah. Well, I've always had locksmith stuff. I have stuff for my patent attorney gave me a bunch of his office furniture when he moved offices. And he said, you can have it because I can't get into any of these drawers and I don't know what's in here. I lost the keys a long time ago. And it's this really nice, like cherry wood, full business set with like a hutch and a huge desk and everything. I was like, hey, thanks. And I was going to use it in my other shop, and never really used any of this stuff. But I learned how to open those locks, and I have a bunch of, it's not in Air Tools. Actually don't know. Yeah. So I have a bunch of like a whole lockpick kit for doing locks and stuff. And so I learned how to do lock picking and got those drawers open. There wasn't anything in there. There was some paperwork and I gave it back to him. And, there wasn't a stash of millions of dollars or anything, but learned how to do it with that. And then learned about a bunch of different keys by doing like the ignition cylinder on this is different than the luggage locks on the Honda. So you kind of basically the same thing, but there's variances with all of them. So, and by the way, this is brought to you by Rockstar. Good stuff. Everybody's warm enough, correct? Okay, just checking. It was really cold in here this morning. That's why I had the heater on. Well, for me, it was really cold. So what else do we have on the car right now? Aside, we have to find those shims. And that's what I wanted to do real quick, was to measure. We're 58, which is what, 2 1/4 inches? Oh, this says 55 or 56 millimeters. And change that 2 inches, 2.2, so 2 1/4. So even if we did a 2-inch outside diameter, I'm going down to 2 inches here. Try to get specific. Oh, 19999. There we go. So even if we do a 2-inch, yeah, 2-inch will work great. And then for the inner, I need it this before it starts going up. So I need 1.3. So like 1.5 inside and 2 inches on the outside. $56. Isn't that what the box said? These boxes are actually really nice from the best.
Yeah, 56.
Yeah. They send you the major specs on the outside of the box, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so 56. So 2 inches and 1.5 inches inside. And that should keep us
For 37 foot-pounds.
Hey, that's the same number that I saw on the
so 140.
Yeah.
Because we're racing, so we need a little bit more foot-pounds. So it's 140 foot-pounds. You know what we'll eventually do is I'll do little tiny stickers here.
Label everything.
Yeah, 140.
That'd be nice. I have a note in my phone of all
Oh, you do? Oh, cool. Okay.
from when I showed them.
Yeah, I thought I have the big green book somewhere. It's readily available out there.
Yeah, we found a PDF.
Okay. I was going to say, if you
My
want,
phone
I'll.
wouldn't open it though.
That's why you know.
Do you still have your iPhone mini?
No, I have an iPhone 15.
Oh. All right, Brian. Brian had a mini for a long time, so. The mini worked though, right? Yeah. Because everything else you were doing on your laptop or
Yeah.
anything else. And doing all the physical stuff, all the other activities, I'm sure the mini worked a lot better too. Traveling and all that, right?
Yeah. The video is
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the minis anymore. They are doing a smaller Apple Watch, which is nice. It also can track it can track your ovulating cycle. So, you know, for any Prius owners out there, these guys work at Honda, so we make a lot of Prius jokes. But it's also ironic that we're racing a Toyota. So,
I definitely don't drive a Toyota.
you what?
I don't drive a Toyota.
You don't drive a Toyota.
What inner diameter were you talking about doing on this?
1.35 inches.
Yeah, I think that's,
So what I'm going to find though, what's going to be available is 1.5.
yeah, that's good.
If I can get 1 3/8 inside, that'd be great. But what I'm probably going to find is 1.5. So, and also if I can find 1 3/8, we can also bevel it out. They're going to be really thin though. That's the downside. So I'd like to get them the right diameter. And I might look that up tonight because McMaster has shims. If you guys don't know McMaster car, and again, I'm not getting paid by anyone for any of this. I'm not getting paid by Rockstar. I'm not getting paid by YouTube. I'm not getting paid by McMaster. Brian and Dakota, they bought me like dinner once. So yeah, that's about all I'm getting paid. There's a company called McMaster Car, and you can go to McMaster.com. Parts, hardware, tools, cleaning supplies, all that stuff. They have a ton of industrial stuff. Really good source. You don't need a business account. You can do a personal account. I think they have a minimum though. I want to say they have like a $20 minimum. So make a list and definitely use McMaster. They're very fast with shipping. They have some warehouses, different places. Very good source when you're building stuff like this and you don't have a wall full of nuts and bolts. They're a great way to score parts. So I'll look on McMaster and see if we can find some shims and get some different packs of shims. What? Oh my God. These guys are talking sports ball. What do you got?
Just a bunch of
Oh my
points
God.
sitting on my
It's
bench.
Fun fact about
it's not even real sports ball. It's fantasy team sports ball. Did they score the points and beat the opponent soundly? Okay.
I'm gonna need to have a talk with my team this week.
Oh, you're gonna have a players only meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Heads will roll.
Yeah. You going on the trading block? Can someone look up McMaster.com and see if they have steel shims or stainless steel shims?
The thing I like about McMaster is that you can download the CAD for all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's another thing. Brian's right.
you just have
Almost
to-
all of their parts, they have CAD files for, and they're free. So you can use them beforehand, before you order the part. You can get the CAD file, try it out with your piece on your whatever CAD, AutoCAD or SolidWorks or whatever. Try it out. Oh no, that one doesn't work. Go get the next size or the next part or whatever, and you can try that, which is very, very handy. So that's another really nice thing about McMaster. What did Liz say? Oh, she said it's okay, you guys. She plays D&D too. So yeah, okay. Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy football, whatever. Yep. Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree with those guys. D&D over fantasy football any day. I'm an old school D&D fan. Like, had the little chart and all of it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so old school D&D. I remember the movie with Tom Hanks in it. Yeah, a lot of people don't remember that. Yes, there was a Dungeons and Dragons movie, and yes, Tom Hanks was in it. One in 3/8. Are you going millimeters?
I can do either.
Yeah, I'm guessing you're gonna have a better selection with inch versus millimeters, but we can try. 35 or 35 or 36. Yeah. Also, if you have a shop, go get a set of calipers. You can get them at Harbor Freight. You can get them anywhere. They range anywhere from $20 to Matoyo has a like $2,000 dial caliper, right? Like a super really nice one. Yeah, crazy, like gold plated, whatever. You can spend a lot on calipers, but go at the very minimum, get a $20 set. I have probably 10 sets of calipers, digital, analog. Down at my desk in the house, I have a little like 4-inch guy for measuring guitar stuff. And then here I have a drawer called measuring. So I'll just grab 3 from the drawer. I'll flip them around so you guys can see them. So these are 6-inch, 8-inch, and 4-inch. These are for getting into really tight spots. These are for longer distances, obviously, and then these are the ones I use the most. They're up front and handy. And I'll give you guys another tool for any shop. Again, I'm not getting paid by anyone. This is a thread checker, and it's made by a company called The Original Thread Checker. And you'll see these sometimes, and they'll be mounted on a wall, and there'll be a whole bunch of different screws, nuts, and bolts. And you can check your screw there. The problem is you can't take that inside underneath the dash and check what thread that rib nut is. With this guy, you can. He's portable. And he's got 2 different flavors on him. Silver is inch and black is metric. And you can take this and, oh, I want to see, you know, maybe it's this size. And just let that go. Take that, and then I can thread him in. Hopefully he fits. Or if it's a stud, I can thread this and hopefully he fits. So definitely get one of these. I don't think they're very expensive. I've had this one for years and years and years. I keep it in the tap and die drawer. Countless. I've used that countless times. What other shop tool is a really good one? Okay, I got a really good one for you guys. Not in pry bars. Thought he was in here. He goes somewhere else. There he is. Again, these are really cheap, but they're incredibly handy. These are rubber exhaust clamp removers. Put this on the stud, and then you can, or the rubber, and you can push the stud through with this, and you use it to get the exhaust hangers off. These things are stupid cheap, but when you're trying to remove exhaust to do stuff, get drive shafts out of the way or whatever, they come in very, very handy. Very handy. Again, those are cheap tools, but they're like necessary tools that you're going to use all of the time. I'm going to check on the shim search. How are we doing? 1.5, 1 3/8.
We found
Yeah.
something that's unique for it.
What do you
And
think are close?
what thicknesses?
1.2 mils.
Oh yeah, okay. And it's like a 5-pack, right?
Yeah. 2 options. Pack of 25. Or, yeah,
Okay, how much is a pack of 10?
543.
How much is a pack of 25?
491.
Okay, and then what was our other thickness available? Okay. So we might do a 10-pack of those and then a 10-pack of the next size up, and that should cover us with whatever thicknesses we need. The Gate was crazy. Oh yeah, The Gate was a good movie. Yeah. So 1.2 mil, and I'm guessing it would be 2.5 mil, maybe. the other thickness that was available.
Oh,
Those
600s?
Yeah.
Millimeters is so much easier. Please, everyone, switch over to millimeters. What a pain. I'll never understand why we're still waiting on that.
yeah, 1.2, 1.5.
Well, if we do 1.2 and we double them, that's going to be 2.4. If we do a 1.5 and double it, that's going to be a 3 mil. So I think a 10 pack of each.
Yeah. Is there a 2 mil big one?
yeah.
There is a 2 mil.
Then you could either do
The 1.2 or the 2 mil. Yeah.
It's not quite 2 mil.
What is it? Okay.
1.9.
Yeah, that works. Can you send me the links to
I
the
definitely
10?
don't think we'll need any.
Yeah, can you send me the links to the 2 of those? The 1.2 and the 1.9. We get those ordered, and that way we can get these axles together. This car, and once we have the axles in this, we're running and driving. We have little tiny stuff that we're going to do to the car, but it is literally ready to race. Aside from a theme, and God, I hate doing this because I know Bodie McBoatface is going to come up. If you guys want to help us with theme and throw out suggestions, love to hear them from you guys. Absolutely no promises. And be prepared. You might be publicly shamed if your theme suggestion is that bad. I have no problem publicly shaming people who throw out dumb shit. Yeah, that gives us wiggle room both inside or on this and inside the hub. So it can, if it needs to, it can slide. But it can't go very far because the inside is going to keep it very centered.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll keep it super concentric. But it's going to be slightly smaller OD and then dead on ID, which I think is what we want. That's working for you?
Math is mathing over here.
I think it'll work.
Okay. Yeah, and we can do a test fit and crush one and get it torqued to spec and then pull it apart. Make sure it still stays flat on all edges, inside and outside edges. If it doesn't stay flat, then we know we have to trim the inside, but we won't have to trim the outside. Is that working for you?
It should stay flat, I think.
Yeah.
You're saying trim and shim.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to rhyme, but thanks, Drake. I appreciate it. So that's where we're at. Once we have the axles back in the car, runs and drives, we can go dial up. Well, Brian already dialed the shocks up. You want to dial more?
Like,
Well, I guess the last dialing we did was at Road Atlanta, right?
So we run
Or
six
at Pit Race.
we didn't do really anything with the besides I just turned them to the middle of the ring. They were full step.
Okay. So at Road Atlanta, we'll keep the same thing for Road Atlanta until further notice.
Yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. Yeah, after the first session. Are you doing the start? Who hasn't started yet? Okay, Chris obviously hasn't started yet. You haven't done. Have you done a start?
now.
What's the vote, Brian?
I don't care. I
You know, okay, so starting at Lemons is
we're in rain.
yeah, that's not very fun. So starting at Lemons is kind of odd because it is not super polite like F1. Now F1 is crazy competitive and strategy and $1 million like toter homes, $5 million cars, and I can't even imagine what they're paying for Verstappen. So there's huge money involved and it's incredibly competitive, but everyone is like quietly polite. Lemons is the reverse. There is guys are holding cars together with hope and duct tape and zip ties, and these things make it the entire weekend at 100 miles an hour all weekend. But then they take it back to like '86 Nissan hardbody with a steel trailer, and two buddies with a shitty Weber dome barbecue, and that's that's their weekend. So it's a little different. So when you go out on the start, instead of having like IndyCar has 30, 33 cars, NASCAR has about 30, and F1 has what, 20 something, and everyone's very organized, and it's double file, and okay. Lemons is, holy crap, it's usually double file, sorry, single file, but it's every car is out there, and you're looking at between 100 and 120 cars in a rolling start. And all of these cars have themes, so they're not like sleek and easy to see around. Someone will have Snoopy doghouse with Snoopy on top as the Red Baron on top of their car or hanging off the side. Someone will have a shark tail wagon off the back of their car, whatever. So one of the starts I did, I was following an E30 BMW, and he had a huge loudspeaker, PA loudspeaker, like from a football stadium on top of his car. And he was cranking like German club music. And it was so loud. I could hear it not only over the sound of this car, but I could hear it through my helmet and through the earpiece and the radio and everything. That's how loud it was. And you're doing like 10 laps with this. And it just goes around and it's just the whole time. You can't hear anything else. I'm trying to hear the guys on the radio. I'm trying to hear it. It's so obnoxious. And that's one of the obnoxious things. So if you want to start and you get that guy behind you, man, I can't help you. You can't change positions once you're out there, unless you come in and go further back in the pack. But then they have all these cars go around the track, and you have 100 plus cars, and they're trying to give everyone a fair start. So they try and get the distances the same and all of this. And they're very good at it, but it takes a while to get that going. So you're all like super amped and ready to go, and you're like, all right, let's rock this. And they drop the green flag, and all of a sudden you see like 60 other cars go past you. Plus, at the start, you have a lot of blowups. You're going to lose about 10% of the grid. So you're going to lose about 10 or 12 cars on the first couple of laps. They're going to blow up. They're going to break down, whatever. What shims?
One of the thicknesses.
What thickness? Yeah, that's odd.
If you go up one more.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, if we'll get the thinnest one, and then we'll get
The thickest.
it's a 1.9.
Yeah, that works good.
Maybe 1.2, 1.9.
But the pack's at 10.
Yeah. Yeah, those will be fine because it should be completely enclosed.
Yeah.
And the other good part is if we take axles out to inspect or re-grease or anything, we'll check the shims and we'll have spares. They're not crazy expensive. They're $12 for a pack of 10, $15 for a pack of 10. So, yeah, starting at Lemons is weird and fun, but it's also kind of frightening because you do have that shit blowing up at random times. You think this car is going to run great and he's going to run the whole race, and you're hanging out behind him, and all of a sudden this crankshaft is just laying in the middle of the track. And you're like, oh shit. And from living in Florida, I can tell you that hitting a crankshaft is pretty much like hitting an armadillo. I didn't know there were armadillos in Florida. And the other night I was coming back from dinner, and there was one that had been hit in the road, and the car in front of me cleared it, but I didn't see it in time. And it went under the car. I thought I hit a cinder block. I mean, those things are built, man. Those are tough little. I would be surprised if he actually was dead. So, I'm getting messages from Brian. But yeah, parts everywhere, fluids everywhere. Now we don't run coolant in this. We run straight water. We run distilled water. Coolant is very slippery, so when you blow up an engine and coolant goes everywhere, track gets very slippery. They don't want that. We have enough problems with oil and God knows power steering fluid and everything else. So we limit it with coolant. Coolant is a very common thing. So we run distilled water, and that's the rule in lemons. And it's actually the rule in most racing. You run distilled water. Distilled helps prevent corrosion in aluminum stuff. So that's the hardest part about the start is that first half hour, that first 45 minutes or an hour. There's a lot of attrition. There is a lot of obnoxiousness. There's a lot of jockeying for position. And you can be at the front if you want. If you get up there on grid early enough, you can be up at the front. But just know there's 100 guards coming for your ass. They're right behind you, and they're all trying. And you'll be at the front when you come back around and you see the, Pontiac Transport on fire over on the side, or, the Honda Civic, leaking fluids all over the track as he tries to limp back to the pits. That's going to be your view. So kind of plan accordingly. Normally on our starts, we've been about middle of the pack, right? The last few events we've been at Gingerman, we were kind of middle of the pack, pit race. Middle is kind of a good spot. You can see some of the guys blow up in front of you, some of the guys blow up behind you. But yeah, and we were talking about Road Atlanta and the event down there. Everyone's jazzed to go back down. I'm totally psyched. Dakota's parents are psyched. They're like they'll be hanging out at the track like all weekend, right? Okay, yeah. I figured they would be like, no, you guys have fun, and they go to Jamaica or something. I don't know.
No, they want in on the action. Yeah.
Oh yeah, your dad's gonna like call me. Hey, is it cool if we drive? Need another driver, like a backup? I'm waiting for that. Or even better, your mom calls and like, you guys need a backup driver? Maybe some estrogen on the team, maybe. What? Okay. And then, since they're giving us the vineyard for the weekend, it's kind of hard to say no, right? No, you can't drive. They could guilt me into a spot. So that'll be a lot of fun. And your aunt and uncle will be there too, right?
Yeah, they'll be there.
Okay. So we'll have a really good cheering section already. And like I said, if you guys want to come down to Road Atlanta, I'll cover your spectator costs. Just shoot me a message here on YouTube or send me a text or call me. When you get to the track, I'll buzz down and I'll cover your spectator costs. You can literally go everywhere on the track except in the pits or out on the track. But you can go everywhere else. You can go all through the paddock. You can go up on the hill. You can go where? You can go back by the opposite side by turn 1, correct? All the way down there. There's that kind of that parking area down in the low section there. Yeah. You can basically go everywhere except on the track or in the pits. So that's a lot of fun, and the people are all really fun. So I highly recommend it. Doing it because I want more people to get into racing, and I think once you experience it, you get addicted. These guys are totally addicted. Brian's addicted to autocross. I already know that. We're not doing any kind of intervention or anything. And Dakota is totally addicted, and now his parents and aunt and uncle are addicted too. And I'm waiting to hear from like one of them, like, hey, can you tell us about building a Lemons car? And we're looking at a 944. So yeah, that's the fun part is when you hear back from people like, hey, I want to get more into autocross. I saw you guys at Pit Race, or I saw you guys at Gingerman or whatever, and we want to get into it. What do we do? And hopefully I can help people out.
The guy I know posted about all the autocross events he did for this past year, and he did over.
That's pretty good. And
way more than that.
Brian's looking at that, and then he goes to 2025, and he's like, 40, huh? All right. If I do 1 a week, that's 52. If I do 2 a week, I can blow this guy out of the water. So yeah, I would look for 40 plus out of Brian next year. Oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah, absolutely. No. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. You're not You're not 100% cars.
Yeah,
You're
I'd like to get back
80%
into
cars.
stuff.
Yeah. Going down to 70% cars. I guess that's another thing about doing the Lemons racing that people really don't kind of take into account is you kind of have to be into shape. You can't, I mean, there are, people that are out of shape that do race, but I think you have a greater advantage if you're in shape. It's a lot easier for you to go longer sessions and get in and out of the car and all that stuff. I think you're a lot more efficient if you're in shape. So definitely something to consider. And these guys, they do like hardcore biking and rock climbing and all that stuff. So yeah, that's another thing to take into consideration. What else? Yeah, and Liz is talking about coming down and doing the photography for the whole weekend, which would be really cool. Because when we're in with the car, it's tough to pull a phone out of the pocket and get pictures of these guys doing this. So to have another person just doing photography would be really great. Video, whatever, that'd be awesome, Liz. I'd really appreciate that. That would be nice. Because we do miss out on a ton of stuff. Even though we do live streaming from the car, we still miss out on a lot of stuff.
Talking about brackets. Way to do that
Brackets.
without anchors.
Oh. Well, I have
You have,
I have bar stock over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's a chop saw right there.
That's all we need.
TIG welder, MIG welder. There's a drill and a ton of bits. So yeah, just to the right of the sink. No, Dakota. On the left side of the table.
Oh,
See
yeah.
all that stuff stashed there? Yeah, there's a ton of stuff back there, ton of material.
We can work with it.
So we get these shims ordered, and then McMaster card. What does that say? Huntington something? Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. That's from Ryan.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess we should use that for something. So we get the shims back in the car. We'll get this car running and driving. Hopefully it doesn't snow, and we can get some miles on the car and make sure everything's good. Again, we have little tiny things, so we'll take care of those as well. But the big part is the axles and making sure that we have these setups ready to go. We can take our spares with us, etc. So that's where we're at. So thanks for hanging out with us tonight, you guys. I apologize we weren't like crazy in depth, and also my my camera support for the laptop and stuff is in Florida, and my other camera gear, a lot of it is in Florida too. So I'm kind of going back and forth and doing the best I can. I'll try and find a better vantage point next time, and or just have someone hold the laptop as we're putting the axles in and cranking them down. You guys can see how they work. And for all the other stuff we're going to be doing in the shop this week, I'll try and find a better mounting point. Hopefully this one's okay. This one's 2 seconds, but it's also kind of a weird angle, like tilted back. So yeah, thanks again for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, whatever, please let me know. If there's anything you want to see in here, shoot me a message. We'll see if we can get it back in here. And we'll catch you guys live tomorrow. We'll do another live from the shop here. I'm gonna try and do them every day this week while I'm up here. So thanks again for hanging out. What do we get? Another message. The viewpoint is good and clear. Okay. Well, I'll find something portable so that I can move you guys closer and further away. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and don't forget to show someone that you love them today. Give them a kiss on the cheek, give them a kiss on the tip of their nose, hold their hand, give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it's far more important for you. Thanks, everyone. We will talk to you soon. Have a great night. Cool.